catching up in double time. James analyzing every line. Paul's out of sync, but they don't care. Three minds tangled, but they're always there.
James, what's the first rule of Seismic Cinema?
Don't talk about Seismic Cinema.
What's the second rule?
Do not talk about Seismic Cinema.
Well, we failed already.
Well, we're about to.
Right, welcome to another Seismic Cinema review. This time, as I'm sure you guessed, Fight Club. You can find us on social media, on X, just now James, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, Blue Sky, and Facebook. And you can watch us on YouTube and Spotify and listen to us on those two platforms, plus a wide range of others. We've recently just hit 200 subscribers on YouTube, and our next target, we've decided, is 225 subscribers, because I thought 300 was a bit ambitious. So I think we go in 25 segments. What do you think?
I think short and manageable kind of things. I think we should do that. I can't think of the word actually. Short and sizable targets. There we go. Targets.
Targets. Also, we're part of the Podpack Collective on X, and so there's a range of other podcasters there you could check out and share their stuff.
Welcome to my friendly game club, where everyone is welcome. The podcast where we share, we play, we run and sing. Well, we don't run, but we do sing.
Hey kids, are you looking for a new favourite fortnightly video game review podcast?
Then boy howdy have we got the show for you.
We take a different game every 2 weeks and we review them just like a book club.
You can find us on all good podcasting platforms.
And some of the sketchy ones too.
Simply search for the Game Club podcast and join the club today.
Okay, so recent episodes for us. The last one will be out by the time you hear this one. Was Hotel Reverie, the Black Mirror Season 7, Episode 3. Last movie we did was Groundhog Day. And before that, it was Betty Noir, the Black Mirror episode, which I'm still sure is the right pronunciation. Okay, James, just before we get into what's going to be a packed episode, talking about Fight Club, just wondered what you have been watching. I know we're back at work now as well, so time's at a premium.
Well, before we go into that, mate, let's for the folk who don't know us, let's introduce ourselves.
Oh yeah, that's the second time in 2 weeks I've forgot that. So I'm Colin, and as crazy as it sounds, I had not seen this film before my recent viewing.
I'm James, and I've probably written an essay on it, and Paul has watched something in the wrong order.
Paul knew the ending before he watched the film.
There you go. Aye.
And I'm pretty sure you have written an essay on this one.
I've wrote lots of notes on it. Not a proper essay, certainly, but notes that I have got in abundance. So I'm hoping to try and put them across today, if I can.
It always seems in my quest to watch films I haven't seen that I end up posting movies that you are an expert on. But,
I would have called myself an expert. Let's get out there. But I think I've done a lot of analysis on it. So aye,
I'll just be the figurehead.
To answer your question about what we're watching, so also Fight Club for the podcast. I'm all caught with Dexter. It's episode 7 of the Resurrection series. It's just been released, so I've caught up with that. What else did I watch actually? I can't think. I watched Black Mirror. The new episode of that we're going to review next week. I actually quite liked it, but again, we'll go into more detail of that.
Haven't watched that one yet.
Aye.
Is that the gaming one?
Aye. It's got Peter Capaldi in it as well. I didn't expect that. So
I'll watch it maybe. I'll probably watch it Wednesday or Thursday night.
Aye. That's pretty much it, man. Like I've got wee things on in the background. Did I watch Inside Number 9? I can't remember if I did.
I think you're quite liking that. You seem to have kept going with it a wee bit.
I'm just trying to do it again, just kind of wee bits. It's only 25-minute episode or something like that, so it's not too bad. Just because I'm back at work now, as are you, do you know what I mean? So it's been pretty full on this week. So I'm sure there are people watching this who's saying, "Oh, your teachers get loads of time off and things like that." But
to me, though, transitioning to going back is hard mentally and emotionally.
Aye, it is. I mean, getting 6 weeks off in the summer and things like that, you know, getting to go back to work, it can be quite difficult. Do you know what I mean? It is kind of that dread of going back again. I know everybody has that, I suppose, but like for being on for so long. So
you're then needing to manage the transition of kids coming back after 6 weeks off as well, which isn't easy. But
well, that's it as well.
So I've been very slim on the ground. I watched a lot of stuff during the holidays. So I'm focusing on Severance at the moment. I think I'm on episode 4 now. So there's only like 2 seasons of 10 episodes. So I should get through that relatively quickly, although I won't have as much time. And obviously I watched Fight Club for the podcast as well. It's been quite a quiet week in that regard. The next movie I want to watch is one that I wanted to see in the cinema but didn't manage. Juror number 2. It was trying to remember who the lead on it was. Was it Nicholas Hoult or was it someone else?
I don't know. We haven't seen it anywhere.
It's on Now TV and it was out in the cinema not that long ago, but it looks pretty good and it's got good reviews.
I haven't seen it.
It was what's his face? Nicholas Hoult that was in Superman recently as well. So that's the kind of next one I want to check out. So I'll set that as my target for the Black Mirror review. I'll maybe try and watch Juror number 2 if I can. But I might fail. So we'll
That'll
see.
be a challenge, and remember we need to go back to the challenges.
Yeah, that's my challenge. Have you got anything in mind?
No, really.
Give you one.
Aye, give me one. You don't need to come up with it now. You can maybe just bring it up.
If it comes to me while we're recording, or I'll message you something. Do you want a show or a film? Probably a film.
Film, probably, mate. Aye.
Right. Okay. But I won't force it. We'll see what comes to me. Right. Let's get into the review of it all then. So the movie we're looking at is Fight Club. It was released in 1999. We always like to say what age we were. I was 8 years old when this came out.
I was 14.
Well, it's weird to think because that's quite a big age gap at that age. The duration was 2 hours and 19 minutes, so it's a bit longer than recent movies that we've watched. The IMDb score is 8.8. The Rotten Tomatoes score 81%, and it's actually ranked as number 13 on IMDb's kind of all-time movie list. It's a crime/action film, so that's where you'll find it in our playlists. It had a budget of $63 million, and it grossed worldwide 101 million there or thereabouts. So it did make a profit. You'd have thought maybe based on its reputation it would have made a bit more. It was directed by David Fincher, screenplay by Jim Yules, and I also found out when I was doing my prep, I'm sure you already knew this, that it's based on a novel by Chuck Palahniuk or something like that.
Palahniuk, I think it is.
Which I might actually check out at some point because I'm actually quite into reading novels that movies are based on. As I told you last week, I'm reading the Jurassic Park book. I'm also thinking of reading the Jaws book at some point, so I might check Fight Club out as well.
You ever read American Psycho, Bret Easton Ellis? You need to go back and...
We discussed that. I just couldn't get into it.
You need to get another go.
But I read The Shining as well. So this could be a wee mini series for me, just reading books based on movies as well, and we can
just sort of in there. A few YouTube shorts on it as well that you based on your, based on the review. Potential.
That's a good idea. The tagline, there was various ones. I quite like this one. How much can you know about yourself if you've never been in a fight? And it wouldn't surprise you, and I don't quite understand it myself. I've never been in a fight. I'm not asking you to say whether you've been in a fight, but I've genuinely never been in a fight before.
Well,
So
I'm not going to leave you hanging, mate. Yes, I have been in a fight. I've been in several fights through my years. Not so much now, being an adult and things like that, but aye, I've been in fights.
yeah, so I also I keep tying back to How I Met Your Mother recently. I don't know why, but do you remember the episode when Marshall's like, I've never been in a fight before, and they're in the back. I wonder if that's kind of inspired by this movie, like the kind of back alley scene.
Maybe, but see what to talk about How I Met Your Mother though, it's quite a lot of nonsense because Marshall grew up with three brothers, and basically they would always do roughhousing and all that sort of stuff. So he's been in fights before.
That's what just play fight.
Anyway, that's a sidetrack. But I never quite understood that aspect of Marshall and How I Met Your Mother because he had been.
Yeah.
Anyway,
and just on at the cast before we get started, Edward Norton, who plays his formal title is the narrator. Although I've seen some YouTube videos that wrongly call him, is it Jim? You know that the thing he keeps reading? It's like the
Reader's Digest.
From the point of view of the body organs.
Aye, no, that's wrong.
Edward Norton obviously was a Incredible Hulk in the original version of that. He was also in another film we did at one point recently, wasn't he?
Was he? He was in American History X, which I remember him from, which is an amazing film.
Obviously, Brad Pitt, who plays Tyler Durden. If you didn't know it was him, like he's so different, isn't he? His character in this is so different than other ones you've maybe seen him play. So it's a good performance.
Well, saying that though, remember when we did Snatch, you wee button should have taken the role in Snatch because it's quite similar to his role in Fight Club. That you would really see it now. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, yeah, I didn't make that connection at that point. My Harry Potter reference: Helena Bonham Carter as Marla Singer, and Meatloaf as Robert Paulson. And I didn't really realise it when I was watching it, if I'm honest, but Jared Leto as Angel Face.
Aye.
So that is the kind of main cast list. Right, so we've got a lot to unpack here, but James, I've got no prior history. Although, do you know what I noticed? And it's quite a nice thing. See, when I look at these top 100 or movies you should watch before you die, that kind of thing, I've actually seen so many of them now, and I actually owe a lot of it to doing the podcast. So there's over the last 3 years, I've chopped up a lot of the ones now that you should have seen.
I mean, Paul, have opened your eyes to the film industry, mate. You can give us
that was the goal of doing it. So
you can give me a Seismic Academy Award at the end of the year, mate. It's fine.
Oh, we should do an award ceremony at Christmas time. That would be fun.
Oh, no.
Right,
we're done.
Yeah. Okay. So James, as I said, I don't have any history. What's your history of the film? Just before we get into it.
Well, I never seen it when it came out for sure. I was only 14 years of age. I probably watched this as part of my DVD collection. Around about maybe 5th or 6th year. Do you know what I mean? Maybe kind of first year uni, which is maybe about 2002, 2003. I had it in DVD, still have it somewhere. And obviously, I liked the film at the time. Furthermore, when I went and did my wee kind of media course and things like that, this was a film that came up that was good to study, just with like the lighting and the themes and symbolism and all that sort of thing. And it's just a film that I tend to go back to every so often. Do you know what I mean? So I was quite happy that the Seismic supporters actually chose this film. It was quite close actually for a moment. I thought it was going to be that Eternal Sunshine of Spotless Mind, but luckily Fight Club came up because I did want to talk about it.
Eternal Spotlight's meant to be good, so I think that's maybe one.
I haven't seen it.
Maybe one day it is one we do.
Yeah, possibly.
Maybe it was too close to the Truman Show, though. Obviously, we just did a Jim Carrey one, so.
Aye, maybe. I don't know, but I'm just like I say, I'm glad that Fight Club won because it's something I can talk about.
Although I haven't seen it, obviously it's one I'd heard of over the years, and it was always like, yeah, I'll need to make sure I watch that one day. And obviously, I do know the iconic line about the first rule of Fight Club. It's comes up in so many other shows, you know.
Oh, it's part of pop culture now, isn't it, as well? You hear it quite often. But aye.
Okay, so the first scene of the film, there's quite a lot of films like this. It kind of shows you the end, doesn't it? And then you kind of have to work your way to there. So it's the narrator, played by Norton, and he is basically got the gun in his mouth, or the gun is to his mouth, and it's Tyler Durden that's holding it, and you hear his inner monologue, don't you? It's a big kind of framing device, and it's basically like, I'm essentially going to tell you the story of how I ended up here, and it also mentions Helena Bonham Carter's character as well in the intro. So it's quite a common thing to do this, kind of show the end at the start. But what did you make of the very first scene of the film?
Aye, but I'd like to touch on the scene before that, mate, at the opening credits. That's important as well, because the opening credits actually goes through the brain. So it's telling you right away that there's maybe some kind of psychological kind of issues with the character in the film. It talks about, I think, as it goes through the brain, like it goes through what's called the fear center. It's kind of foreshadowing to a degree that there's something not quite right with the person's brain. So I thought that was important, and the actual music behind it as well, and the kind of the score, I should say, and the kind of the intense music. It's quite important to possibly talk about, kind of foreshadow the person's kind of, I don't know, the chemical imbalance in his brain potentially. I just wanted to touch on that, mate. To be honest with you, it's important because that's a starting bit. Then it goes to the bit that you're talking about the whole kind of, he's got the gun at his mouth. The endings at the start, as you said. I mean, I like it as it sets the balance of the film as well. Do you know what I mean? It's like, okay, before I talk about this,
Snatch not do that as well.
The Snatch
start at the
end. Can't remember.
It's non-linear anyway.
Aye, it's not as you're right. I can't remember off the top of my head now, but aye, there's, again, like you say, there's lots of films that do this, and I like it. Do you know what I mean? It's because what happened? What for this point? It goes right. It grabs the audience. Like, okay, why has this happened? Why are they two here? We see Marlon as well. Why? So we need to get painting a picture of a result. How do we get to that result? So it was good.
Yeah.
What did you think it?
Yeah, it captures you, doesn't it? You hear these names and you're filing them away for the future. You're like, obviously these names are going to be important, and it introduces all the main characters or main actors as well, doesn't it? Like the main three.
Aye.
There's another film this reminds me of, just a lot of the themes of the movie, which we'll get into later, but just to plant the seed, V for Vendetta. I felt that there was that's a movie that kind of came into my head when I was watching it as well.
Yeah, I can see the kind of similarities there. V for Vendetta is a film that we also reviewed.
Yep.
So, aye. I mean, at that scene at the start, though, you kind of get the impression that Tyler Durden is in charge, in control of a situation, because we've got the whole kind of, Ed Norton's character. It's going to be quite hard. The narrator is what he's called in the film. He's sitting in the chair, but we kind of see that Tyler Durden's in charge at this point in time, which is kind of not really the case come the end of the film. So it's a wee bit different. So, aye, it's a good wee kind of starting point for the film.
Yeah. So then we go back in time, and then we're reintroduced to the narrator and his kind of desk job, and it's immediately clear that he doesn't really like his job, but he's also an insomniac as well. And I've had short periods of my life, thankfully, where I've struggled to sleep, and I know how bad it can be. But to be like diagnosed insomniac that just can never sleep, or that's how it appears, must be really difficult. But just to touch on his job, because it's not immediately apparent what his job is, but you kind of learn about it as it goes on. He works for a car company, and he's involved in basically deciding whether cars are recalled or not.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just an important point for something that happens later in the film as well.
Yeah.
So he goes to the doctors. The doctor's quite dismissive of him. He didn't seem like a very caring doctor anyway, but he does suggest that it is going to be weird just calling him the narrator, isn't it? That the narrator goes to some support groups. So this bit is pretty mental. He's looking through newspapers, circling the ads, and just attending. So the first one you see is the testicular cancer group. And essentially he realizes that if he like hugs and cries with these strangers who are going through really tough things that he can't necessarily relate to, that it actually does help him sleep at night, until obviously something happens further down the line that interferes with that. So what did you make of the whole attendance of the support groups and that kind of aspect of the film?
Aye, I mean, just to kind of touch on the insomnia. I think most people in certain cases have had trouble sleeping, whatever. But like, I think insomnia is like the inability to sleep for weeks and things like that. Because he does say in his voiceover that he struggles. He does mention the fact that he hasn't slept for weeks. You can see it in him as well. Do you know what I mean? Like the whole kind of toll it's taken on him. You get the montage of him trying to sleep. He's watching the telly and things like that. He's through these things. And he can't sleep at night. Or maybe a coffee too late in the afternoon or night or whatever. And we just I shouldn't have had that. But your brain's still kind of wired to the fact that you can't sleep. The doctor does actually dismiss him because he doesn't really classify it as something. It's kind of like somebody who's known you in real pain. Do you know what I mean? That's why he tells them to go to these kind of support groups to basically see what real pain looks like. Insight, like the whole idea of going to support groups. Okay, obviously he's doesn't have what these guys have and things like that, and it's just basically just being in the groups, hearing what they've got to say, and I don't know. It's a bit of a bizarre. I think it's a bit of a bizarre move to try that, but you slowly see that it does become a form of addiction to a degree, doesn't it?
It does seem to work for him. It makes me wonder whether there are people in the real world who attend these meetings that don't have the conditions for reasons like this. There probably was off the back of this film.
I think it must happen. You know what I mean? Of course. We do meet a certain character at support groups, though. Becomes pivotal.
Yeah, so Robert Paulson, who's played by Meatloaf.
What's his name?
Obviously heard. Was that?
What's his name?
Robert Paulson?
What's his name?
I've had to keep saying it. This is a Fight Club joke, isn't it?
His name is Robert Paulson.
Bear in mind, folks, I have only seen it the once. So Meatloaf, I've obviously heard of Meatloaf. I'm assuming that is the music artist Meatloaf.
Aye.
Yeah. I've heard of him, but I've never
for love.
I've heard that song. I've heard of him. I didn't really make all the connections, but so he's had his testicles removed because of his illness, and it's made him develop breasts, hasn't it? Which is obviously part of the comfort that he provides to the narrator. I didn't know that was a thing, or maybe I did. Were you aware of that?
What?
Is that? I assume that's like a real thing where if you have that procedure, these things can happen.
I've got no idea, mate. It's spoke about. I'm not kind of expert in biology or the human body, but it does mention the fact that it's the lower testosterone and the more of estrogen and things like that.
Yeah.
It's done this. I don't know. I've got no idea, mate.
The way they described it made it sound legitimate anyway.
Aye.
Yeah, but that's attending these meetings. Like he ends up bumping into some of them in the street sometimes, doesn't he? And they remember his fake names because he obviously has so many fake names in this film, and it's working really well for him until a certain Marla singer appears. And it's funny because when you think of it, when you obviously know the ending of this film, you know obviously the phrase the unreliable narrator, he essentially is that. So it's like the way he's perceiving her behavior and her in general is like she's kind of viewed as the unstable one by him. But obviously it's really the reverse, isn't it?
Aye. So he is a unreliable narrator because what we see and what he sees and what he does, we can't. It's not accurate. Do you know what I mean? We're just we see something different sometimes as well, which I'll come on to. But he is, and looking at it, we are just assuming because the narrator Ed Norton is the central character to this film that we already get a bond with him.
Yeah.
So we are essentially taking his journey onto this. But when we see somebody come from the outside like Marla, looking at her, the way she acts, the way she, talks as well, the way she kind of carries herself, it does seem like there's a nervousness about her. There's I don't know, but we can see that there's something not quite right, and therefore by that she's the unstable one. So she's unreliable, she's unstable. So I can see that part of it for sure. But he is the unstable one. She is, fine in that regard. She's just a character. She plays a part well in it. But she does appear at these support groups. Obviously, does not have testicular cancer. But the way she comes in and makes her appearance as well, do you know what I mean? She's like, in these groups smoking and things like that. She's disinterested in any sort of thing. And he calls her a faker. But again, so is he. Do you know what I mean? But it's obviously more obvious that she is.
And it was her. Sorry, you go.
No, you go, mate.
No, I thought you'd finished what you were saying. It's obviously her being there that it stops this working for him because it draws his attention to the fact that he's also an imposter. So it essentially stops it working for him. You do, as the film goes on, and the reasons explained later on, but it does seem like he has a deep down like a soft spot for her in the early stages of the film, and that it makes some of his actions towards her a bit confusing because he does like think about her, he does dream about her. Obviously, that's explained later on, but it is a wee bit confusing, their relationship, until you find out the truth, because it does seem to blow a bit hot and cold.
Aye, it does. I mean, the whole kind of her appearing there basically has disrupted his kind of coping mechanisms. So now the fact he was starting to cope, that's been thrown off by her being there. And it's kind of basically what happened is it kind of pushes him away from that, and that's how he meets Tyler to a degree. You know what I mean? So we kind of see that. And in terms of the whole kind of romantic situation, there was a kind of an attraction for sure. Do you know what I mean? There was that. I think he was maybe intrigued by the how complex she was and all that. Because she is just like him. He does kind of need that kind of support. What does she need it for? Type thing. And it does get complicated later on because obviously with when Tyler shows up, it does make it a little bit strange because it seems like Ed Norton does kind of want to push it. He does push it away. He's quite distant to some degree as well. But then obviously Tyler forms that relationship with her, which is obviously important later on when we find out the end game.
Yeah. So before we get to that bit, he basically confronts her and says, like, essentially, you're stepping on my turf, and they come to like a arrangement of sorts where some of them will attend one day, some will attend the other. I don't think they don't actually stick to that in the end, because they actually admit later on that they were kind of spying on each other to see who was attending what. And then kind of moves on. He goes on it's a work trip essentially, isn't it? When he's on his flight. And that's where we meet Tyler Durden. And I didn't mind the early scenes with the support groups. I did feel like they went on quite long. But I think the film really steps up a gear when Brad Pitt arrives on the scene.
Aye, definitely. He's got a presence about him. Do you know what I mean? Especially that first time you see him.
Yeah.
He's in Brad Pitt's clothing alone is important. It's a total kind of opposite.
Yeah.
The Ed Norton's character. And then when we see Brad Pitt, obviously beside him, the narrator's beside him, and he's talking about kind of it's single serving friends on an airplane line he talks about. And Brad Pitt, he quite likes that. So Tyler Durden actually quite likes that. He obviously forms a deep connection to him to a degree as well. He's got closeness with him, that bond he makes. So the film did step up when Tyler did appear on the airplane.
I didn't obviously realise the importance of it at the time, but it is mentioned that they have the same briefcase, which is a bit of foreshadowing as well.
Yes.
So it's not actually the first time you see Tyler though, because he does pass him in the airport, and you see him going the opposite way.
And the escalator thing, yes.
Yeah, and that's obviously explained later on. But they're having all these conversations. Tyler is a soap salesman, which is probably the first time in a movie I've came across that profession. And he just comes across as a cool, confident guy and it's apparent really early on that he's against material possessions and thinks that we are controlled by essentially what we buy. So he's like an anti-capitalist, essentially, isn't he? And he just believes in really kind of basic living.
He's totally against kind of consumerism and all that sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? He's against all that, but it's the opposite of the narrator, isn't it? Because he's got his fancy condo, all the stuff,
furniture.
So he's all that sort of stuff. He's the representation of consumerism, whereas Tyler Durden is not. He's against all that. So he's completely eccentric. He's pretty much everything that people want to be. Do you know what I mean? He's not really giving a monkeys. I say he's even the way he talks about, like, he even goes past like the air stewardess and all that sort of stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a good, again, a wee bit of foreshadowing there, right, mate, about the whole kind of the briefcase. But you see the two are one and the same. Do you know what I mean? It's one half and the other half, and it's a battle of who's going to kind of to win there. And actually, it's a really good kind of introduction to meeting subconscious, I think.
It does get you thinking, though. Like, a lot of the things he says about possessions and the fact we do just what we're expected to do, it is really true, and it gets you thinking about the life that you live as well.
I mean, people are sheep. At the end of the day, people are sheep. They they go on to these, YouTube, they follow things, because all influencers, do you know what I mean? If an influencer does it, then it must mean that they do it, and it just kind of it breeds, doesn't it? Whereas, like, there's people like Tyler out there who are not sheep, and they refuse to kind of go with the flow, go with the grain, and all that sort of stuff. Do you know what I mean? So, aye, I mean, it does kind of make you think about your own life a wee bit. But the thing is, people want nice things. They want nice cars. They want nice houses. They want nice furniture. All that. There's nothing wrong with that. Do you know what I mean? Like, would you rather lived in a house like Narrator, or would you rather lived in a house like Tyler?
I think there's.
Or you can have an in between, couldn't you?
I think there's shades of grey, isn't there? You could have your nice house, but then live simpler in other ways. You know what I mean? It'd be interesting to see the dynamic. This would be a good crossover. Tyler and Mr. Bateman from American Psycho, the ultimate consumer.
True. Very true.
That'd be a good crossover, that, wouldn't it? Which is, again, he's got his own mixed personas, doesn't he?
Aye.
As well.
Aye. See, as well, so I want to know your thoughts on this, because this is the first time we see Tyler and the narrator together. Obviously, that we see them beside each other, but it's basically him. It's a big spoiler. I haven't actually given it away yet, but Tyler is the alter ego of the narrator.
Oh, man.
This is him talking to himself, right? And there's a lot of scenes in this film where he's talking to Tyler, where people are watching. On this airplane, you obviously don't know at the time, because you just see two characters. But later on, when you after finish watching it, you must have look back in it and go, he's talking to himself on the airplane. How must that have looked? You know what I mean? Him arguing with himself. Like, he's like, this guy's crazy. He's talking to somebody who's not even there. Would you think of that?
They couldn't really show the reactions of people, though, because it would have given the game away early, wouldn't
it?
Oh,
I know, but it's something to think about, like, later on, isn't it? Like, you go, all right, so...
It's because it's the case that you don't actually see them talking when there's another, like, a third person present.
Yes.
So after that journey, the narrator goes home, but upon coming home, discovers that his apartment has went up in flames. I really like the way they filmed, like the bit when it goes like behind the fridge, and as you mentioned, the bit with the brain at the start. I really like the camera work in this movie.
Aye, it's good, mate. With the bit at the start, obviously, it's the kind of the brain montage. But in the apartment, obviously, you see the kind of materialistic stuff that's there, and it just doesn't hide it. Do you know what I mean? It's there for all to see. It's an important kind of part of the film. But the actual condo, we don't actually see the condo when he comes back home, because he's obviously sees that it's on fire. Doesn't he look much surprised? Well, he does. He doesn't he? I don't know what you thought of that.
Yeah, it's obviously at this point in the film I didn't know about the alter ego, but when I saw his house going up, it did actually come into my head that he did it to get the insurance payout, which is obviously confirmed later that it was him.
Aye.
But they distract you, don't you, by they give a really technical explanation about what, like, the manufacturers or the insurance company said would have caused the explosion. So I feel like that kind of draws your attention away from thinking down that route.
Aye, it does, because you know, the narrator hasn't gave any suspicions at all about the whole kind of the he's at fault. You know what I mean? Because we know he seems to enjoy his lifestyle. Do you know what I mean? But later on, we do find out that he was responsible for it all. But they do give all the potential things or what went wrong with it and all that, and what could have happened. But I just when he got to the apartment, or he got to the outside of the building, it's just like he's if that was anybody else, it'd be like, oh fuck, my house is on fire, and all that, I need to get in, there's this, there's that, next thing. He just looked in shock. But again, if anybody else's house went on fire, I think the reaction would be different. I don't know, I think he would be really frightened. He's like in herself there, and we just don't see it. Because we don't, you know what I mean?
Also, because of his mental state and the lack of sleep he has, again, I didn't really clock his reaction as being weird, because his whole life's a wee bit like that.
Aye, that's true, of course. But I mean, the actual kind of the fire itself kind of symbolises a kind of new beginnings for him, doesn't it?
Yeah, and also there's the explosions at the end as well, which kind of mirror that.
Yes.
He then phones Tyler, so he essentially phones his own phone, which I think is referenced at one point as like, I think Tyler says something like, I didn't actually. There was I can't remember what it said, but there was something mentioned about like him phoning him, or maybe he didn't actually take his number or something. But obviously, it will be the same phone.
Aye, aye, and you see the different later on. You see different phone calls and things being made and all that sort of stuff as well.
Yeah.
So you see all that as well. So aye, it's obviously that's when the twist kind of uncovers itself. We see that, but it would have done here as well. He would have phoned himself.
Yeah, because you see the call log, and a lot of his calls are early in the morning, which obviously again becomes important later. So he phones up. He meets him in a bar, essentially, and they're having some drinks. And you find out a lot about Tyler's antics here, don't you? Where he worked in a restaurant and he was like peeing in the food, and what was the other? There was something else he did to the food.
He peed in the soup, and then he did the in the cinema. He was kind of slicing the frames.
Yeah, and inserting images, which is what they actually did in this film to show Tyler throughout. Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
And this comes back later because the narrator goes to the restaurant and knows about the soup and stuff. But at that point, you're obviously associated with another person. But it obviously does come up later on. And obviously a lot of the people who work in the restaurant are members of the soon-to-be club. That scene was quite creepy though. See when they're a bit like zombies, aren't they, at that point? They've black eyes and they're all just acting exactly the same. We'll get to that. So he goes outside, and Tyler, it feels weird at this point calling them by these names. Tyler says, like, you've been waiting all night, just come out with it. Like, can I stay with you? Which is ironically his own house. But his request is that he punches him as hard as he can. And I think this is where the film would become amusing on a second watch, because you obviously see him later on in the film punching himself, but he's essentially just been punching himself anytime he's with Tyler in the whole film.
Yes. I was outside the bar. Just hit me. He gets in his first fight. Obviously, it's a very clumsy fight as well. And I don't know if you noticed this. Well, maybe you did, maybe you didn't. I don't know. But he's obviously fighting himself. You see the way when they punch each other, see the way that they react and they go down, like holding their chest and things like that. It's the exact same. It's a mirror image of one another. So it's not as if like Tyler or the narrator's got different reactions to how they've been punched. It is exactly the same.
It's the clever aspect of it though, because I wouldn't have noticed that because I wouldn't have been looking for it.
Aye.
When I came into this film, I didn't really know about the psychological aspects of the big twist. I just thought it was a film about a fight club.
Aye.
Which I assume most people probably thought going in for the first time. So then they go back to the house. He says he's not sure whether Tyler owns it or whether he's squatting. To me, it looks more like it's either a house that's went into massive disrepair that's maybe been like a family pass down, or he is just squatting. I don't know if they actually confirm that or not.
It's just I think they're just squatting, I'm sure.
Yeah. So it's a horrible place. The water's like brown. The shower doesn't work. The whole place is dark and manky, and it's the polar opposite to the narrator's flat, isn't it? With all the IKEA furniture and all the money spent.
Is it the exact opposite, man? Do you know what I mean? It's rotten. The wood's rotten, it's decrepit, filthy. It's lack of the what was in the narrator's house, like the exact opposite. Do you know what I mean? This is like living for real. It's basically it's basically the inside of Tyler is this house, this representation. Do you know what I mean? This is just like living like this, man. Do you know what I mean? Like, but again, people might like that.
Mm-hmm. I've got
I did like the bit where like going for a shower and all that sort of stuff. Like he obviously could see that it had to be used, the water wasn't running and all that sort of thing. It was a realization of, because they went through that kind of montage of going through things like people take for granted, like going for a shower, putting the TV on and all that sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? But no, there's none of that, and it made reference to all that. Do you know what I mean? Like this is like living in shit basically, in Scholar.
I don't fancy it myself.
Nah.
What I'm wondering is, obviously, see like the scene on the plane when he has the conversation with Tyler.
Yeah.
But obviously, I didn't really notice him obviously in our first watch, but the splices of him before that. It looks like the conversation on the plane is like when Tyler goes from being like snippets to actually becoming like this imaginary friend, split personality. But he's already got insomnia at this point. So has he had this dual persona for a while and it's just becoming more concrete? Or is the split personality invisible friend just a result of the insomnia? Or so has it just happened when we see it happen? Or has it been happening over a period of time? I just wondered if you...
Well, we don't really know. Well, we don't really know until this point. Maybe at previous, we don't know. But what we do know is that it's basically a consequence of not attending the meetings and things. It seemed to be like the narrator was in control of his kind of, I don't say destiny, is like, there's no right word I'm trying to use here, but he's in control of his kind of circumstances of where he could manage the insomnia to a degree and go to these meetings and be able to listen to people.
Yeah.
The introduction to Marler kind of confused that, because then he couldn't be himself in these meetings because he knew someone else was there.
I get that, because see if like I went to like some kind of support group, see if someone I knew appeared, it would put me off being there and being open and honest.
Oh, of course. And then Tyler appearing is just like it's a manifestation of something else that he's got that escape now, so that the meetings become irrelevant. This is now the escape. Do you know what I mean? Only him can basically use that. Obviously, he uses that manifestation to get what he really wants, or what he thinks he really wants. So I think possibly it was maybe always there, but we don't really see that until after he's tried and tested the other stuff, and then this is what's the result of that.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny because when he goes to the house, he never leaves. Like you would initially think it was just going to be like a short-term thing until he rented somewhere new or bought a house with the insurance money.
Yes,
but it's actually quite a big tell that he didn't leave, and that's just where he lives now.
No, I know exactly. There's no kind of I need to talk about insurance money. I need to go and look for it. No, because what was happening there? He was having fun. Do you mean he was being himself? And by being himself, that was slowly but surely his kind of Tyler Durden kind of alter ego was taking control. The narrator was getting kind of buried in his inner, his kind of subconscious, whatever. And our thoughts were being brought up to the above the narrator. Do you know what I mean? So actually, he didn't leave a good point, and there's no mention of it.
It's obviously Tyler's convinced him that this is the way to live now. So he convinced him to the point where he took down his own place. But then his whole mindset is now switched to this really basic style of living. I think it's important to mention, because it comes up later, that he does still go to his day job, but he's always knackered. He's got black eyes. He's got a kind of overbearing boss who is like a recurring character who's always kind of getting on his case. But the more you see him, each time you see him, his voice is like quieter and harder to hear, which is showing the narrator's kind of, I suppose, checking out of that point of their life. But you also see quite a lot of his colleagues start to become members of the Fight Club as well.
Aye, that's true. The job gradually deteriorates as well. Do you know what I mean? You can see that he's got blooding collar and things like that, and he's got black eyes. So his injuries are becoming a lot worse. And see as well. So at some point, he meets Bob. This is like later on in the film, but it's important to know this as well. See, he meets Bob, and he's basically Fight Club is like 7 days a week, right? It eventually gets to that point, and so the narrator says that he goes on a Saturday, so he intentionally goes at the weekends to come into working at that, to come in. So he's kind of making a statement as well. I thought that he was getting, in that state intentionally, so he could be like that with his boss. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. That's just an idea I thought of there.
Yeah. And obviously, we should mention that they did start up the club. I think some guys just started kind of egging him on. Although when they're egging him on, they would have just seen him punching himself.
Yes, exactly. So that's it. So that's the bit. So when they're out, obviously when they have the first fight and that, and then it happens later, like next day, or whatever. They've got the deck chairs out and all that outside the wee pub or the bar, or whatever it is, and it's they would have just seen him hitting himself and throwing himself about and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Which kind of leads to the whole fact that this guy's got beliefs. He's got he's crazy. That's why people are scared of him. If you look at it, he's well respected. He's always kind of like, so he's got these kind of ideologies. Like he's created an army, man. Do you know what I mean? Of in a worst case scenario, if I say this or I say that, then you know what to do. You don't see that obviously, but that's what happens. But they would have just seen him hit himself, mate. Do you know what I mean? It's mad.
So the fighting part of it, it's the way I viewed it. It's like they're kind of taking out. This is how, a bit like the support group at the start. This is like another way of letting out his emotions and really being himself, and I suppose just getting away from their everyday lives, because it becomes so popular so quickly, despite the cardinal rule of not talking about it.
It's an escape, isn't it?
But I think he probably made the rule, don't talk about it, because as soon as you tell somebody not to talk about it, they will talk about it. So it does quickly spread, and I think we could actually class this as a business movie, because he does end up franchising it to different cities as well. That's
true. I heard you got a Fight Club in Miami. Is that true? No, it's a lot of franchise. That's right. I don't think you'll get away with it watching it in class though.
It's important for later, the fact he does go to different cities as well. But you talked about how it was only like maybe 1 or 2 nights a week, but then they changed it to the 7 nights. But they got that money through, they were getting like the fat from the kind of liposuction.
Aye, it's liposuction fat, aye.
And then they were using that to make the soap.
Soap.
And then selling it back to them.
Yep.
And that was how they funded the So he's pretty smart though as well, isn't he?
Aye, because obviously he got because
He's
that
an
was
entrepreneur.
the scene where he's obviously he's basically getting sacked for his boss, and he's like, no, and he was punching himself about the place and throwing himself about the place.
Yeah.
And he walked out the building basically like being on pay, but didn't have to put in the office and all that sort of stuff. So he had the funding and all that for it all. And
Because he also threatened to tell the truth about some of the dodgy practices of the car company as well.
which is he speaks about that to a passenger as well, a single life, is that like single serving friend. About he works at a big car manufacturer, but you would be surprised, and the payouts and all that sort of the recalls and things like that. So he obviously has an important job with the secrets in the job that maybe no one wants to get out. Do you know what I mean? So he's using that to his advantage. So he's a smart guy. He's basically blackmailed them.
That's a good life hack. Like, because you wouldn't see with that scene where you're talking about where he's punching himself and throwing himself through the glass and stuff. You wouldn't expect people to do that. So see if you were in a situation where you're having like a debate or an argument, see if you did start punching yourself and throwing yourself on the glass tables, it would look really bad for the other person.
Well, that's the idea, isn't it? And the guy's just like looking at him. He goes, "Please, no, not again. Don't hit me." And he's like, "No."
It all goes back to the narrator, because he's viewed as like a really kind of overbearing, micromanaging boss, but he's probably just a nice guy who's got like an unruly employee who's like losing it.
Well, that's exactly that. I mean,
Yeah.
do you remember the boss being overly like was he bad before that point when he asked him to stop smoking and asked him to dress appropriately? It didn't seem that kind of bad a boss.
As Roy Keane would say, he's just doing his job.
Exactly.
Sorry for the Manchester United reference.
No, that's fine, mate.
So it's important, I think, that we obviously touch on the fact that Marla starts to come back into the scene.
Aye.
This is the weird bit. Obviously, it makes sense later, but there's no apparent reason why Tyler and Marla would know each other. Like, there's no meeting scene. There's no indication they knew each other previously. That, again, should have been a big red flag.
Yes, indeed. Because you talk about the bit where she takes overdose.
Well, even prior to that, when she's...
Aye.
Or is that the first? No, that might be the first time then, because that's the first time Tyler meets her when she phones up.
Aye, and he goes to the apartment.
Yeah. And then it seems like Tyler and Marla are having this big relationship, but again, crucially, you never see all three of them in the same room at the same time.
There might be one instance.
Right. Well,
There's one instance.
she wouldn't have seen both of them anyway.
No, she's like aye, that's it. But
There's
we as the viewer do.
Yeah. There is a scene which was again a big bit of foreshadowing where the narrator has a dream about being with Marla, but then that just seems like a dream because it's him, but it wasn't actually a dream. It was just his memories of being with her as Tyler, I suppose.
Yes, aye.
Because there was another scene where he's talking to Marla and like she's leaving or something, and it seems like she's leaving because she's annoyed at Tyler, but she's actually annoyed at the narrator. It's when Tyler's like down the stairs, kind of telling him what to say, and he's repeating it.
Yes, that's right.
And that scene seemed a bit weird, but it's just him kind of feeding on his alter ego, isn't it?
Aye.
But you don't. It seemed strange when I didn't know what the twist was.
I know, I get that, mate. Of course.
Yeah.
It's like say for the first time, I can't remember my thoughts on it, man. Do you know what I mean? Because I've watched it so many times after it, I've got my what do you call it, my essay head on. Do you know what I mean? I don't know, but see the bit where like the kind of whole Marla overdose thing, and then she obviously kind of sleeps with Tyler as well after that, because he takes her away rescues her essentially, and then brings her back. Even the way that Taylor's acting, he's all he's dancing about the place. Do you know what I mean? It's just a kind of complete kind of different to the narrator who you would have thought she would have phoned, but obviously did phone. But we see Tyler, so it's him. It's Kane. We see there's a few kind of montages as well here, like with I might be skipping my head here, but I think I'm at the right bit where obviously the writer can hear noises, obviously that with Tyler and Marla, and he goes to basically walk past the door, and you've got Brad Pitt who comes out the door, or Tyler Durden comes out the door, and he's wearing a washing, like a glove. Do you notice that?
Yeah.
And he was talking to her. It's quite funny that scene. And he's talking to her. He's talking to him. Sorry. And Marla shouts, "Who are you talking to?" Do you notice that bit?
No.
That?
Again, there's so much I would also notice
That's what she says to Tyler. Says to Tyler, "Who are you talking to?" And he goes, "No one," or something like that. Which again hints at, well, why would Marla ask that question if she knows already who lives in the house? Do you know what I mean? So it's a wee bit.
It makes sense why she gets so annoyed at him though. Like she seems like raging at him because there's a scene where she asks him to come over and feel like a lump for her, and it feels like he's just been asked to go over to his best pal's girlfriend's house to like check her for lumps, and it just seems really awkward and weird. But it isn't. He's been with her the whole time, which is also hard to get your head around.
I know, because he's like being in that position. Like because Taylor Durden does ask, like, "Oh, am I overstepping boundaries here in a way?" And he's like, "No." Like he's like, Marla, God, no." Do you know what I mean? No things like that. No, you can do what you want, basically. Do you know what I mean? You can, but he does have feelings. He does have an interaction, but he does also kind of respect the boundary with his pal Tyler. Do you know what I mean? Like, and that's why it was maybe awkward at the time. But Marla asked him because it is only him. You know what I mean? Like, so, aye.
So they start to ramp it up with Tyler apparently in the lead with it. It goes from just being a fight club to being a fight club franchise. And I'm certain there will be real life versions of this that spawned up after this film.
I don't know, mate. I can't talk about it.
Oh, yeah, remember?
I don't know what you're talking about, mate.
So this is where Project Mayhem starts to come into it. So instead of just fighting, they're starting to get like homework assignments where they have to go and like blow up shop windows that's got tech in it, or vandalism. And my favourite one is where they have to go pick a fight. I just found that whole sequence quite funny.
Aye.
Like like you keep splashing the priest with the puddle, and it's just like people will go out their way to avoid a fight, and I'm a prime example of that, I suppose.
You got trivia about that, trivia. So see when the Fight Club member actually, holds the priest, they get the camera work at that point in time was a wee bit shaky because the cameraman couldn't hold his laughter in because it happened. So that's why you can see it briefly shaking. So that was interesting.
It was a good scene, and it shows that Tyler is becoming more and more serious about eradicating capitalism and getting people to stop caring about material possessions. And it's ramping up, but it reaches a point where good old Bob is killed, and this seems like a big turning point for the narrator in terms of his yin and yang battle with Tyler.
I see before Bob dies, we've got the car crash scene as well.
Mm.
So see the bit where he gets the car, the valet brings out the car keys, and he says, "Oh, it's for you, Mr. Durden." When the valet looks at Ed Norton, he calls him Mr. Durden. Doesn't he look at Brad Pitt? He looks at him. Was the kind of the first scene that we see that there's a reference point to him being Tyler Durden, and in the during the car crash, there's that kind of again Tyler Durden being in control. He's one driving the car. We see that. We've got the passenger seat. We've got Ed Norton. There's a real inner battle there with the two guys in the back. So they again, obviously, is in hindsight we looking at this and going, they two.
Yeah.
The one he's just arguing with himself, and there's no they're not saying anything in the back. Do you know what I mean? He's seeing inner struggles, and the basically says to Ed Norton that you need to take control. Do you know what I mean? You're don't be afraid to die type thing. And when the car does crash, we see that when they crawl out for the crash, that Ed Norton comes out of the driver's seat and not the passenger seat, which is again the second time we see Tyler Durden being kind of subtly hinted towards us again to in a quick succession of him being Tyler Durden.
What was your thoughts the first? Do you remember first watching this film? Did you see the twist coming, or were you surprised by it?
No, I mean I seen it coming for the opening credits, mate. If I'm honest, no, I'm kidding on, mate. Of course, I was surprised. Do you know what I mean? Like it was just like, whoa, this is like didn't expect that. Do you know what I mean? Because I don't know, I wasn't as clued up in like guessing things back then. Do you know what I mean? I was younger when I watched it. Do you know what I mean? I was only like 18 or something like that, like in 5th or 6th year or something when I first watched it. So I was obviously surprised by it. And for people who say they see it coming, they're talking absolute nonsense because he definitely didn't see it coming. Do you know what I mean? I think it was a good surprise. Like I didn't expect it, mate. I wouldn't say good surprise. It's not good, but it was a unexpected thing. You know what I mean? And obviously, watching it again for so many times, again, there'll be wee things that I still haven't picked up. Do you know what I mean? But again, just to took that, the get in the car, get out the car, the whole Mr. Durden stuff, and then we get him crawling out the driver's seat is important.
You're talking about.
Okay, what you think about the twist later on, mate? Because I know we'll go through the film and then you can talk about it, mate. Because it's different for you because it is your first time.
You were talking about obviously regaining control and this conversation between the narrator and Tyler that Marlowe's became a problem that needs to be eradicated. Or I think it's maybe Tyler that's saying it. But at that point, the narrator, after Bob dies, is starting to get quite worried about her well-being. And he kind of tries to reach out to her, but there's a couple of scenes actually where because the Project Mayhem, the Fight Club members, they're changing, aren't they? They're becoming really like he's like training them up to say things in a exact way, and they're all using like common language. It's basically become a cult by this point, hasn't it?
Aye, exactly. So you spoke about Mr. Bob's or Bob's death, rather. And like that was a kind of realization for him then, because the ideology of doing what he's trying to do is far gone now. We've got this kind of cult, right? This army, you know, it's like what's happening here, and like this is Bob, and it's basically saying in Project Mayhem we have no names, so it's like that's humanity now erased, and I mean it's gone. Like it's just that they've got a cause, the cult have got a cause, and then this is what's going to happen at the end of it. But again, it's the kind of the narrator was fond of Bob. Do you know what I mean? He I don't think he wanted him in it in the first place, and because of that was the kind of realization now that it's all became kind of, I don't know, irreversible to a certain degree, and Tyler's kind of ideology is winning over here, because it's terrorism, isn't it? It's like it's not good, mate. But I think with the whole kind of Marla thing we were talking about, that I think that's later on, mate, when basically they come to realization now that they are one of the same. Marla has to go because she knows too much.
Yeah. There's a good scene where he's like training up some of the army, and the guy's like left outside for ages, and he keeps getting told he's not good, and they're teaching him what to say, but then it transitions, and then he starts passing that on to like the next person.
Aye.
So you see how their philosophy is starting to spread.
We've got Tyler first doing it, and then we've got the narrator doing it, and then back to Tyler. Then we've got the next in line, the wee kind of who we thought were kind of wee minions. They're now doing it. Do you know what I mean? So so their ideology is just spreading, and they're becoming more kind of authority. It's not just Tyler. It's not just the narrator. It's everybody else now who's got that ideology, who's come out and basically making fun of these, or just trying to make sure that they're capable. As my dog barks in the background.
It's just the same way any culture. The narrator's becoming more just the figurehead, isn't he? And he's created a strong enough culture that it's just going to outlast him. And the people obviously believe in the mission. And you see that just because they become more and more prevalent out and about. They're more public. You're seeing them in the restaurant. You're seeing them in the streets. And they're starting to like obviously kidnap Marla later as well.
Aye, so basically the whole Project Mayhem is bigger than one person. It's bigger than two people. It is they're trying to expand it, so they've got the causes. So if it's like a terrorist group, mate, do you know what I mean? Like you've got these people who are terrorists. It's not just about one person. People can die left, right, and centre. But the cause is still there. You know what I mean? You can't. The idea's there. You can't kill an idea. You know what I mean? So it's there, and whether people pick up the idea or not is, and that's what they're trying to do here. So, anybody is, it can be a casualty, as we see with Bob.
Yeah, and things start to unravel when Marla and other people out and about in the different cities start calling him Tyler, and it gets to a point. You can maybe fill me in on this, but does he make the official realization when he's talking to Tyler?
So he goes to the bar. People call him Tyler without hesitation. They meet. So he's panicking here. Like, why are you calling me that? Why are you calling me that?
Yeah.
And then later on, we've got the whole kind of the realization. He talks to Tyler, because basically Tyler disappears for ages as well. Like, there's this thing where they're doing things. Tyler's not there. He asks where Tyler is, and they don't even acknowledge it. So he's disappeared for the narrator. He's disappeared off screen. We don't know where he is, but then he appears later on, and it's basically like him asking him how did we meet and all that sort of stuff, and he's like, you and Tyler saying you'll get there. And he goes, I know because you know, because I know, and I am you. And then like Taylor's like, there you go, there you have it. So that's the revelation there, that they are one and the same. So they do have a conversation sitting down doing that, and it just unfolds in front of the audience. So all that kind of, all those kind of subtle hints to that point is now, that's the payoff.
That twist really does. I talked about Brad Pitt elevating the film early doors. That twist, as you know, because we've talked about it in other films, I love a film where there is a big twist, like so Shutter Island has. that big twist at the end, and shows like Black Mirror have them frequently. It really does elevate a film in my memories of it, and when it's like that. When we talked about Tyler kind of disappearing, I suppose that shows that after the death of Bob, the narrator was starting to become the stronger side of the coin again.
That's it.
But Tyler was still there in the periphery, so he wasn't like completely gone, but he was making strides to get rid of him.
Because like we say, that was like the straw that broke the camel's back. Do you know what I mean? Like Bob dying, and then it's like, well, that's him taking back control from the whole kind of the Tyler aspect of it, and he was basically seeing what Tyler was doing when he was in control. You know what I mean? So the eternal struggle between the two of them was good. And I urge you to go back and watch that a second time, mate, just so you can see it at different aspects. And obviously, we're talking about it, you might kind of like or see it again. And like I say, there'll be things that have again no clock, because that's how the film is quite clever. You know what I mean? I think it is quite clever, and it's not going to. It's the way where sometimes it's how subtle things can be. Like I can pick it up usually, but again, there's even subtler things in that, more subtle things in that makes it much more clever, I think, and good to how I like it.
I still want to watch Juror number 2, but I might actually make it my weekly challenge to rewatch Fight Club with a different perspective.
Aye, I would go and do that, mate.
Because if I don't do it soon, it'll start to disappear a wee bit,
Aye, I would do it. I would definitely do it, mate.
Right, so he's made this big realization, and it obviously explains a lot of things. Like, explains why he is so tired and out of it at work. Because when you see the call logs, he's basically living as the narrator at work, and then in the evenings, he's becoming Tyler and running a multi-city Fight Club franchise and terrorist organization.
Following the candle at both ends, mate. Innit?
It's a scary thought to think you could think you're going to sleep, but then just take on another life. It's kind of like being drunk, essentially, isn't it?
Aye.
Like, if you went out drinking and don't remember the next day, which people do, you can be doing anything. Do you know what I mean?
Aye, mate. You get the fear and all that the other day. Aye, definitely.
That's kind of like what it's like, I think, in a lot of ways.
I've been there another time when I was younger. Do you know what I mean? Like, how did we get home and all that sort of thing? We can't remember how. Aye, so as an analogy, I suppose. That, if you've got a mind blank or something, you don't know what you've done. I suppose that's what it is like for him.
Yeah. And he doesn't remember where he gets a lot of like the bruises and different things like that.
Yeah.
So obviously we talked earlier, he's concerned because he does really, the narrator, the main version of him really does like Marla and care about her, and that's obviously shown towards the end of the film. But the Project Mayhem, he finds all these addresses in different cities, and it turns out he's going to using his skills of making soap, because they talk about how you can make dynamite and things like that. He wants to blow up the headquarters of the companies, and it got me thinking about this. Obviously, this film came out in 1999, but see if you were to blow up a physical office building now, that's not going to erase them because it's all going to be in the cloud now. They'd be better targeting the data centers instead.
Yeah, you're better the data farms and the data centers for sure. That's what you go for. That was their end goal, basically, is to blow the buildings up with the financial details and records so that the debts were zero and things. And like you say, we've seen all the addresses and all that sort of stuff for all them. That was the plan.
Because he's phoning them up to warn them. Because he voluntarily gets arrested, which is a good scene.
Yes, so he gets arrested and basically finds that the the cops who he's talking to are approaching me. You know what I mean? Like,
and they knew exactly what he would say, and he said that they weren't to listen to him, etc., etc. I thought that was a good wee extra twist. I didn't see that coming from the police, so that was a good bit as well. Because there's a scene where he goes out for food with Marla, and the waiter basically said his food's free. And she's like, "Why is your food free?" And the guy's like, just as we described it earlier, like a zombie, and just like this guy's like a god to him.
aye, that's that. And then even when he looks like, is it in the same bit in the restaurant where he's the waiter like serves him whatever, and then he turns around, and then you've got the chefs in the back who are like just nodding as well.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean, so
It reminds me of the zombies from Shaun of the Dead in a lot of ways.
but it's funny into how we spoke about how like people who know about consumerism and all that, who they go with the flow and they buy things they let sheep. Well, technically they let sheep as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, because they just follow their orders and whatever, and they just go with the flow.
There was a quote I liked from the film. It was "It's only when you've lost everything that you're free to do anything."
Aye,
So I thought that summed up the film quite nicely.
Well, that's well, he did lose everything, didn't he? And then
Well, not everything.
Everything.
So he gets to one of the buildings, and you see Marla getting like dragged to the building. So I think Tyler and the minions were planning to have Marla inside the building when it went off.
They kidnapped her.
Yeah. And then she sees that he's in charge, and the kind of conclusion is where he's really ready to let Tyler go at this point, isn't he? And this is where we catch up with the beginning of the film.
Aye. So before Marla comes into the scene, though, we've got we are at the start of the film, and it's like you've got the gun in the mouth. Tyler's tries to keep control of the whole kind of thing, but the narrator turns the gun on himself, and by doing that he shoots himself, which it's kind of symbolises the whole kind of killing the inner person. So he kills Tyler. From this, Tyler disappears. You can see from Tyler. You can see the kind of the smoke, isn't it? You can see from him.
I thought he was dead at that point.
So no. So he shoots himself.
Is it through the mouth then? Is that like through the way?
Aye, because we do get the scenes before that when him and Tyler are fighting each other, or it's just him fighting himself, and we see it from the point of view of the CCTV cameras as well, and we can see that when he points the gun at Tyler, he's pointing the gun no, just the van. We can see the CCTV. We see Tyler dragging the narrator along the ground, but in actual fact, the CCTV is him dragging himself along the ground. So we can see it. We can see it from that point of view. Mm-hmm. So we would have seen it then. What other people are seeing now, we know the truth. But he shoots himself, and by doing so, he kills Tyler. Tyler disappears, and then that's when Marla arrives. So as Marla arrives, he takes a hand and basically. Mm-hmm. He says to her that you've met me at a very strange time in my life.
And they watch the fireworks together.
Aye.
I think it was maybe the terrorist aspects of this film that reminded me of V for Vendetta, because there's some scenes in that. How good's that scene with the classical music playing?
I know, the orchestra.
Yeah. So it's the ending to films. It's like, I don't know. He's either going to go on the run or face repercussions for his actions, but it's kind of like a happy ending for him with Marla in a sense.
It's just like a self-awareness and like discovering oneself into it as well. Do you know what I mean? It's he's in a conflict about what's important in life. Obviously, he like you said, it's that didn't enjoy his job or anything along those lines. So it's
Hmm.
kind of how did they go about to correct that?
Well, that brings us to the end of the film then. Did you have anything extra you wanted to mention?
I've got some trivia, mate. That, I wanted to kind of put in. I intentionally didn't get trivia because I thought if I did this at the start, then I would maybe ruin parts of the review. But basically, I've got a few things here. So, Chuck Palahniuk has stated he found the film to be an improvement on his novel, so he preferred the film. In the scene where Brad Pitt and Ed Norton are drunk and hitting golf balls, they are really drunk, and the golf balls are sailing directly into the side of the catering truck. Brad Pitt says that he didn't want his parents to see the movie, but he could not convince them not to watch it. They changed their minds after watching the chemical burn scene. So,
Oh, I forgot to mention that.
yeah.
Because it becomes like the mark of the organization, doesn't it?
Aye, that's the kind of calling sign, not calling sign, but yeah, it's
The dark mark, Harry Potter.
Aye, that as well. The visible breath in the cave scene is recycled from Leonardo DiCaprio's breath from Titanic, which was in the shot. We've got an infamous incident that the Friday the film was released in the theatres, Rosie O'Donnell appeared on a TV show and revealed that she had seen the film earlier in the week and had been unable to sleep ever since. She then proceeded to give away the plot twist ending of the film and urged all the viewers to avoid the movie at all costs. Ed Norton, Brad Pitt, and David Fincher discussed the incident on the DVD. Apparently, they have no went to the commentary tracks, saying that she was the reactions of her was
But as this film showed, telling people to not do things will make them want to do it even more.
Aye. Ed Norton lost 17 to 20 pounds for the role, after having to beef up tremendously for his neo-Nazi skinhead role in American History X, which was released the year before.
Not seen that.
And lastly, Courtney Love and Winona Ryder were both initially considered for the role of Marla, but in the end it came down to Helena Bonham Carter and Reese Witherspoon. But Reese Witherspoon pulled out, so it had to be thingy.
I think that's for the best. I think she was a good fit for the vibe of the film.
Aye. And I do want to mention as well, I remember watching this on YouTube a while ago, and basically some critics didn't like this film to the degree. So the Spikes TV Guys Choice Awards, David Fincher, Brad Pitt, and Ed Norton on stage collected the award for the anniversary of Fight Club, the 10-year anniversary, I'm sure it was, and they got an award for it. And then basically said that they knew this day would come because they knew how good the film was and things like that. And then proceeded to talk and actually say the reviews by those critics and calling them names, shall we say. So if you haven't seen it, go on YouTube and watch it. It's quite
Brad Pitt's an interesting one because he's always like, you associate him with just being like a heartthrob for like the 90s and 2000s that every person was in love with. Do you know what I mean? But he's actually in pretty gritty films, isn't he? Likes of Snatch, likes of this. He takes on quite big roles and complex roles.
Aye, he was in Seven as well.
I've not seen that, but I think I would enjoy that based on the fact I've enjoyed these kind of films.
It was the same director, David Fincher, directed Seven as well.
Yeah.
Seven is a film that I did write an essay on. So,
well, maybe that's one we do in the future then. I think I've got it on DVD and just never watched it. I got it from like a discount DVD store.
Aye.
It's
probably out TV as well, mate.
Yeah. A couple bits of trivia. Apparently there was a Starbucks cup hidden in every shop to kind of highlight the consumerism. And in China, they didn't show the actual ending. They just said, like, text on screen, caught the criminals.
I mean, to be fair, that is like it's the cinematography of that bit with all the buildings falling down is actually quite good. It's obviously it's satire-terrorism, but the actually for a film and seeing it all is actually
That was the way they just came right down. Right, so we're on to the portion of the episode where we share our seismic stars, which is our individual rating of this film. We're not comparing it to any other films. We're just giving our own individual scores. However, every time we do this, I end up going with a slightly different score than I originally had. So it's a hard one, this. Have you got yours set in stone?
Yeah.
It's also hard because whoever goes first is always subconsciously, sometimes,
Well, I don't want.
impacted by the person
I
as
don't
well.
want to. I feel like I've in the last few times I have influenced your score, so I'll let you go first.
It's a hard one because, like quite a few films we've reviewed, your perception of it afterwards is totally different from when you watched it. The twist changes everything,
Yeah.
which obviously needs to be factored in. So I think on balance, I think I'll go 8.5
Cool.
because
Oh, that's a good score, mate.
I quite often
Excellent score.
enjoy films more after the twist.
Aye.
Because to me that's one of my favorite aspects of storytelling. That's why I like Inside Number 9, I like Black Mirror, other movies we've looked at as well. So I think 8.5 is a fair score.
Aye. For me, mate, it's a 9. 9. I think the film it explores quite a lot of kind of key themes, isn't it, man? It's a lot of symbolism in it as well. The cast is good. I mean, I thought every character played their part really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
Even Meatloaf as well. I thought he was good in the film. Do you know what I mean? Jared Leto, and there's other ones as well who have made their names from this film. Brad Pitt was phenomenal in it.
Yeah,
The way he portrayed, and Ed Norton as well. That's by far Ed Norton's best film, in my opinion. And I think American History X is good as well. It's close to this, but I think this film is up there, mate. It's definitely one you have to see before you die, like you had said. Number 13, unlucky for some, but this is a great film. I enjoyed every bit yet. It's a film you do have to pay attention to very closely, though. I think if you were to find yourself distracted at any point, then you might miss something, and very integral to the whole plot. So, 9 is good, mate.
I do owe it the rewatch because, particularly when I'm back at work, I basically do have to watch films in 2 parts. So I watched half of it on Friday night, half of it on Saturday night, just because I need to be alert enough with these films to understand them. And when you're tired and had a long day at work, etc., then you need to kind of do what works for you.
What was the runtime? Was it 2 hours and 10 minutes or something like that?
It was 2 hours 19. So
it's longer than I thought it was. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But if the way to get through films and see good films like this is to watch them in 2 parts, then that's what I'm going to do. Do you know what I mean?
Aye, fair dues, mate.
So we've got a couple of comments from our Seismic supporters on X. So one of them was Trash Can Abby, also on the Grey's Taproom podcast, said it's one amazing movie, wonderfully cast too, which was what we just spoke about. So make sure you check out the Grey's Taproom podcast.
Aye, can't disagree with her.
Yep. And the only other comment we had was from Stu World Order, who said, honestly, only ever saw it once and hated it. I probably owe it a rewatch. That's interesting because he said he hated it and then said he owed it a rewatch. But it seemed like it thought it was far more clever than it was, and the kind of people who love it are typically scumbags.
All right. Thanks a lot. Okay. Well, I don't know. I mean, to be fair, if you've seen it once and you hated it, then fair enough. But at the same time, give it another go. I would say go and watch it again, even though you do know the ending now, or if you can remember the ending. give it another rewatch and might obviously change your opinion of it. I think as well, when you watched it, perhaps might have been it might be when you were younger. Obviously, if it's came out back in 1999, but I don't understand the scumbag comment, if I'm honest. But everyone's entitled to their opinion. I just like the film for how clever it is. I enjoy the symbolism of certain things. I enjoy the twist of things. Like I love ambiguity of films, and I don't know, the idea of it being a fight club was never the intention of it was just a vehicle for it to get to a point. Do you know what I mean? It was to gather followers to get to a point. So I don't know. I mean,
I think that's where maybe I put off watching it, because the concept of the Fight Club didn't draw me in. Whereas if I'd known it was more akin to a Shutters Island in terms of mystique, I would have been writing about it quicker.
aye. I mean, but again,
But I suppose if I'd known that going in, then it wouldn't have had the same impact when you find out the truth.
aye. I mean, aye. So, Stu World Order, go and give it another rewatch and come back to me.
And Stu is a legend. We've collaborated with him in the past. Lovely, lovely, lovely guy. Right. So that's us, really. So just a reminder of where you can find us. So you can find us on social media, on X, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, Blue Sky, and Facebook. So please feel free to drop us a message, say hello, and give us a follow. You can also find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and some other places as well. Our main vehicle really is YouTube. So we're at 200 subscribers. Our next target is 225. I want to get to 1,000 and some revenue by the time I'm 50. So that's the target. So help us on the journey there. And also check out some of the Podpack Collective and give them a follow and a share as well. So James, I've hosted the last 2 episodes, this and the Black Mirror review of Hotel Reverie. So you're up the next 2 weeks. So you want to share what episode of Black Mirror it is, and I don't know if you have your movie suggestions this week, but what's coming up?
So next episode for us will be Black Mirror. I think it's called Plaything. I could be wrong there. I've watched it.
It's Play Something because you likened it to Playtest.
Aye.
The one.
To be fair, I have watched it. It is Plaything. I've just checked it. I'm glad I was right. So it is Plaything. And yeah, I actually quite liked the episode, but obviously we'll go into more detail on it next week. For the following week after that, it was a film pick. I have not got any films that I'm going to say just now. I'll keep them up my sleeve for the moment.
I would like to do 7 at some point.
Okay, aye, definitely.
There's another movie I'd like you to watch, and maybe we could do it at some point. I watched it quite recently. It was called Speak No Evil, the James McAvoy one.
Aye, you've mentioned that for a few weeks in a row now.
Yeah, that's worth a wee watch.
Well, you've seen it?
I've seen it, yeah.
All right, yeah. You hadn't seen it last time I spoke to you?
No, I watched it during the holidays.
Oh, maybe I didn't listen to you.
I think I mentioned you just weren't listening. Yeah.
That was, isn't it? So next week I'll be back with the 3 films. I just don't know yet, mate.
I think we've got 3 episodes of Black Mirror left. We're at the halfway point.
Nah, it's been a no bad season so far, mate. I think the second episode's let it down ever so slightly.
Yeah, I've enjoyed watching it one episode at a time though, because normally I would have just went through them all, but I think it's the kind of show you need to give a wee bit of time and thought to.
Like I say, I watched it last week. Yeah. Just had nothing else to watch. I caught with Dexter, and I just thought I'd turn this on, man. I wonder what you think about it.
Yeah, well, all be revealed next week. So, just to conclude, I am Colin. I hadn't seen Fight Club, but guess what? I have now. Paul knew the twist before he'd even watched the film.
He did if he listened to Rosie O'Donnell.
Yeah.
And I'm James, and I have probably written an essay on it.